There's a growing threat to crypto that most of you may be aware of, but you may not be aware of the extent. The good news is there's definitely something that we can do to help fight it. I've got Kevin Trommer today here from DCTA to tell us exactly what we can do to push back against the government, which is pushing back against crypto. You guys don't want to miss this. Let's go.
Let's go.
What is up, everybody? I'm Scott Melker, also known as the Wolf of All Streets. Before we get started, please subscribe to the channel and hit the like button right down below. There has been a major uptick in rhetoric from the United States government against crypto, and it's starting to actually concern me. You know that generally I'm a grass is green, skies are blue, lovely day, no matter what, everything's going to be fine, optimist. And I've basically been dismissive of the United States' efforts against crypto, but it is curious the manner in which they're now using this fake news about Hamas to continue to push agendas. Regardless of what's happening in the very short term with that story, there are actually things that we can do to help push back against the massive overreach by legislators and regulators in the United States. Now, you may not have seen my thumbnail today, but since I'm now my own producer for now, I told them, hey, just make Elizabeth and Warren and Gary Gensler look really evil. So I guess I didn't leave it too cryptic as to what the biggest threat to crypto is. If you guys haven't been checking out my new thumbnails, they're horrible for engagement and clickbait, but we all know that I don't care about that. I just think they're funny and really great to look at. And that's why we do them. So I hope you guys are appreciating that. I'm going to go ahead and bring on Kevin Trommer right now from DCTA. Dude, you're like a unicorn. I think you're the first lobbyist we've ever had on the show.
Oh, it's an honor, Scott. Thank you so much for having me. Before we start, I just want to say I really loved that thumbnail. I thought it was really funny.
We could have put your face on there right next to them.
Please don't. I'm sure that will come back and bite me in the butt later.
I'm sure. So listen, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Oh, I was just going to say, my name's Kevin Trommer. I'm the Deputy Director of the Digital Currency Traders Alliance. I've been a lobbyist for 10 years. I focus mostly on education equity clients here in the state of California, but I also have the unique advantage of being one of the earliest crypto investors in politics within California. I've been a crypto investor since 2013, right when Coinbase launched. I actually used to do all my calls for politics on a computer I used to mine Dogecoin and Ethereum with. So yeah, it's a pleasure to be here.
It's we always get jealous. I got in 2016 and I'm like, damn, those 2014 guys. And the 2014 guys are like, those 2013 guys were so lucky, right? But so I hope that you held on to all that Doge through the entire cycles. My worst story, my wife reminds me of, my wife reminds me every day of all the Doge I traded that I could have held. I think we did the math once and it would have been worth like $40 million. And I made like $9 grand in a bag of Skittles or something, you know.
We all have to learn our lesson eventually. I remember when I first started trading, I think I lost 5 Bitcoin learning how to trade. Unfortunately, it wasn't that much money at the time, but you know, it really hurts looking back at that now.
Yeah, that's a big hit at this moment. But listen, let's get to the topic at hand here. I want to walk everybody through what's happening really quickly because this story came out yesterday and to me was a real head scratcher. Congress must aid fight against illicit use of crypto, Treasury official says, as the Deputy Treasury Secretary. And he basically said the Biden administration needs more emergency, immediate powers granted by Congress to fight against crypto because it's being used to fund Hamas terrorism. Okay, but just to give really quick context, we all know that this stems from the Wall Street Journal article, Hamas militants behind Israel attack raise millions in crypto. Then Elizabeth Warren and 105 other congressmen and senators, I think 3 or 4 of them are Republicans, the rest were Democrats, all signed a letter about this. But then very quickly we saw that Elliptic, who the research was based on, after Chainalysis just debunked it, said this is just wildly untrue. It's not tens of millions of dollars. It's like $25,000 and like a rusted old 9-iron that has been sent to Hamas, you know, via crypto. And we thought it was over, right? Fake news. We knew that the politicians weren't going to retract, that we would never hear them apologize because that's not what they do. But then we had very actually crypto-friendly Senator Lummis can kind of double down on it. right? And that was surprising. She said we need to crack down on Tether and Binance because they're being used to fund terrorism. I interviewed Palo Arduino last week. He was like, we work with law enforcement every single day to free these wallets. I have no idea what you're talking about. Okay, so we thought it was disappearing, but now we get this weeks later. We get this. They're still using a narrative that's been debunked. The Wall Street Journal retracted and apologized, even though nobody saw it, and we're still seeing it. So was this made up so that they could continue this fight? Like, are they so oblivious to the actual facts and news that they think this is true? I mean, what's going on here, and why are they pushing so hard on this narrative?
So I think they're really doubling down on the same narrative they've been pushing for a while. One of the things we do at DCTA is try and educate policymakers about, about some of the FUD we hear in the industry and trying to debunk that. To me, this is kind of just a recycling, rehashing of the same sort of tired narrative. First, we had the energy consumption, then we had money laundering, then it was back to energy consumption. Now it's terrorist financing, and kind of like what you said with that chain analysis, debunking that data. When I go to crypto compliance symposiums and conferences, we have people from the FBI, from the Secret Service, from the IRS, and they all say that they have a really good relationship with crypto companies, and they have it's very productive for both sides. They're able to identify bad actors, and when we look at chain analytics, if you have to pick one type of medium for financing terrorism or money laundering, crypto's not it. It's really terrible because all the payments are traceable. And I think that they're hoping that they can demonize the cryptocurrency, and the sector as a whole, to really prey on people's fears and the lack of education in the space, and just hope that if they keep on barreling ahead, people will believe them.
Right. So there's two issues there in my mind. I think you're 100% correct. This is just yet another attack from the anti-crypto army. They'll take literally any tidbit they can, try to explode that into a much bigger story, and utilize that FUD. But when they know it's fake, and we know they know it's fake, but they're asking here for emergency powers from Congress to crack down on this, what are they actually going to use those powers for? It's one thing to fight this battle in the media, as you described, but it's another to then take more power over the industry using that news. And it makes me wonder what the end game is there for that power. And I'm not like a tinfoil hat guy at all, but there's clearly a motivation here. It's like when you actually take it to asking for a change in policy, it's different than just saying, this is cool. We can, use this story in the media to create sort of FUD or negativity around the space.
Yeah, I've actually, that's a great question. I was recently reading a book called Blockchain Government that talks about blockchain uses within government. In the introductory chapters, I'm going to butcher her name, so I won't do it. But look it up. Great book by a South Korean researcher. She talks about how governments are really threatened by the idea that they can't control crypto, and as it becomes more and more mainstream, they're increasingly grasping at straws to try and figure out some way to at least exercise some sort of control over it, like they can with the internet. And so I think that this call for more powers might be in line with that. And I don't, I guess putting on my own tinfoil hat, I've had my own thoughts about, is this really a way for them to eliminate some of clear the way of the actual industry actors right now and pave the way for Wall Street entities to come in. I don't know that one way or the other, but I've recently the Department of Justice, and I think you might talk about this later, issued calling for the IRS to have better surveillance over cryptocurrency, and with the end goal of being able to actually seize cryptocurrency out of people's wallets with
no judge
to sign off on that.
Yeah,
no judge at all. Which I believe in the article it says that between to the year 2000 and 2019, this administrative forfeiture made up 75% of all the forfeitures the DOJ went after, which is an insane number to think about. That means that they just signed a paper without a judge signing off on it, and they're able to get 78% of these seizures just from them saying that we have a need. And there's really no checks and balances there. And it should, to me, I know it's not technically illegal, but it's certainly immoral.
Yeah, this is that story. Expect new IRS crypto surveillance to come with a surge in confiscation. So clearly there's a lot of things sort of happening behind the scenes here quietly that are only making it into crypto media that are a major threat, at least for Americans in this space. I mean, to be able to seize your crypto without a judge ever deeming it appropriate is literally insane. I mean, that's so far beyond like democracy or freedom that it's, I mean, that sounds like China. And I'm not trying to be hyperbolic, but that sounds like China. We're coming for your crypto for whatever reason we deem appropriate. It's kind of like the Restrict Act, right? That we saw there for a while that seemingly just disappeared into the news cycle. They just want the ability to control this thing.
And it's a real shame because we all know that it's really just it's really hampering the industry in the short term. Because long term, we know that blockchain is going to be around. And even in this book I was just reading, they really talk about how anytime the government's going to be a little too restrictive or oppressive, since we're not confined by a state boundary, we can just go overseas. And so what we see as the end result is American consumers being harmed. We see that American innovation is being hampered, and we're just really increasingly being uncompetitive in the space vis-a-vis the rest of the global stage. So ultimately, these politicians are shooting themselves in the foot and our country in the foot.
How do they not see that though? How do they not see so it seems that has to be into either they utterly just don't believe at all or that's intentional. I don't understand.
So
I mean, they're doing the same thing to AI.
Yes, I think it's a combination of both. I think on the one hand, politicians are really focused on the next election cycle. Their biggest fear is losing their job, which is why we have a lot of power as consumers and American voters. That's one of the things we try and do is organize consumers and really, get them to exercise their voice. But I actually saw a really interesting thread from Justin Slaughter of Paradigm Capital, I believe. He talked about how, I believe he's an ex-congressional staffer on the Hill, and he talked about how the Biden administration really ceded a lot of control of domestic policy to the progressive wing of the Democratic Party, whereas the foreign policy was really ceded to the moderate Democrats. And the Democratic Party is not monolithic. You have a lot of different factions in there. And I've seen a lot of these domestic attacks coming from the progressive wing and folks like Elizabeth Warren, who really don't believe that crypto should exist at all. I thought there was a really great interview. I think it was 2 years ago. I don't know if it was 60 Minutes or not, but they asked her, hey, look, if cryptocurrency is completely fixed in the future and we eliminate all the issues, would you ever accept it for campaign contributions? And she said, no, I would never do that. So clearly she's biased. She claims to be protecting consumers in their interests, but she really clearly is not.
Protecting big banking interests, maybe. I don't know.
Exactly.
But it doesn't, speculating on why they're doing it, I guess, doesn't really help very much. And we've seen actually the United States government, I think, cracking down massively. There was this notion that the CFTC was the better regulator for crypto and that the SEC was evil. We actually now have this report that the crypto's bromance with US CFTC may be one-sided. They've actually had far more enforcement actions than the SEC. And I saw that actually they had this sort of like passive dunking on Gary Gensler, and there's been this kind of like internal battle. But it seems that we're not going to get much regulatory clarity, and all the regulatory agencies at this point are pushing back against the industry. Now, to be fair, there's a lot of bad actors in the industry that need to be punished.
Absolutely. I think, it's a real shame because 99% of the actors in the industry are good actors. They want to be compliant with laws and regulations. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of regulatory clarity out there for them to follow, and the actions of a few bad actors do taint the rest of the industry. And we've seen that, very much with the Sam Bankman-Fried trial and the fallout around there. I do believe that the Biden administration is exercising a lot of pressure on some of these regulatory agencies. One of my board members is actually one of the founding members of the CFTC. Oh, no, actually, it's a Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, excuse me. And he has a little bit of unique insight in between the actions between the CFPB, the CFTC, and the SEC. It's all a bunch of alphabet soup. But it's really funny how the three are dunking on one another. And we actually got him, we launched earlier this year with a Stop the SEC campaign. And we actually got a great quote from him being like, the SEC is out of control. This is ridiculous, and they need to stop. We've been using I think you've actually used very similar language, Scott, about how the SEC is harming investors before the fact through inaction, and then after the fact through overreacting. And it's a real shame because we get shot in the foot both times. It's real, real consumers are seeing real damages there.
Yeah, they don't protect anyone. Then they hurt you moving forward because they passively deem things securities, and then the price of the assets you are holding goes down. And then you get the full-on Minority Report where they try to pass legislation and stuff to identify bad actors of the future, which I said is kind of they're doing it to AI right now too. So I think it's more of the gerontocracy's fear of new technology, even than being unique to crypto, as I see this happening. But okay, so we know what's happening. We know the anti-crypto army is in control of the financial side. Warren is the chair of the Senate Banking Committee. We know that it's her plants at the White House and Gensler that are all kind of working for her. All that said, is there anything citizens of the United States can actually do to help here, or are we just lemmings who are going to get pushed over and bulldozed by this?
I think that's the common narrative, but I think that's a false one. I think there's a lot of things we can do as American citizens. My colleague who I co-founded this with likes to say that the biggest injustice against the American people has, been the idea that our voices don't matter. But when they truly do, like I said earlier, the American politicians, their biggest fear is losing their job. And we have, I think it was, over 40 million crypto users in the US. That is a substantial voting block that can really make a difference when it comes to elections. A lot of times Congress, congressional representatives, state representatives, they feel that they can act with impunity because they don't have any accountability. And that's why it's really important to contact your congressional representatives, contact your state representatives, not only to say, look, we support this bill or that bill, but to actually set up meetings and ask to help educate them on the subject. That's one of the things we do at DCTA is we actually offer a lobbying 101 course where we help everyday consumers become activated to become consumer advocates and crypto advocates. We teach you how to set up meetings. We teach you exactly how to compose yourself during that meeting. Where you can find specific contact information and become educated about how politics work. Because we think that our biggest champions and biggest advocates in the sector come from everyday Americans, everyday consumers that are really pushing back and saying, look, if you're not going to do anything, I'm going to be harmed. And that's not, I'm not going to vote for you at that point. And that really spurs them to action. I think that one of the things that Congress really needs to do is come out and set up a framework for regulating cryptocurrencies. I'm not holding my breath due to the recent gridlock, but I think that's a big deal. And that's why one of the things we do at DCTA is we focus on the states as well as the federal government. We've actually found that even though the SEC is really unfriendly, at least at the leadership level with the current regime, because on an aside, I've met with SEC, rank and file staffers who really do like cryptocurrency.
Sure.
But yeah, we see at the state level that some of our, financial regulators there really like cryptocurrency. They want to make a friendly environment so that way crypto companies want to come to their states. I know in California, where I'm based out of, our Department of Financial Protection Innovation, I don't think she's there anymore. She had to retire. But their ex-leader, the head of their department handling crypto, used to mine Dogecoin back in the day. And she really understood. She really got the promise of the technology. And that's why, if you are able to put pressure on politicians to get them to either vote for pro-crypto legislation or to actually, help influence the appointment of certain officials, that can make night and day difference in the sector and its overall health.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, I hear that, and the jaded American side of me says they literally only care about their jobs and they don't care about what they say, believe in, do, or whatever. They just need to get reelected.
Yeah, well, and that's why it's really important that once they're on the record, we have to hold them accountable. One of the things we're going to be gearing up and launching actually in 2024 is a big Get Out the Vote campaign specifically for cryptocurrency consumers. And part of that is we're going to be vetting different political candidates, getting them on the record where they stand on cryptocurrency. And, at the end of the day, we have to have a little bit of faith. But I can tell you that if we get them elected and they renege on their promises, then, we're going to kick them out.
Wasn't Coinbase doing a similar initiative? Actually, there was a part of their website where you could go and kind of see the position of different politicians, and they were going to do the same kind of thing. Are you guys working with them on that? Because very cool initiative.
Yes, no, we love that initiative. We're not working with them right now. We're actually we've been reaching out to try and connect with them. We think that a lot of these efforts are really complementary. And the one thing that we have going for us, I know they have their Stand with Crypto campaign, but when you look at politicians, especially in the various state capitals and national capital, we are a true grassroots organization. We're all volunteer based right now. And there's a distinction that is seen between a group like ours and a group like Stand with Crypto, where I believe 50% of their funding came from Coinbase itself. Even though they claim to not be, they claim to be separated from that initiative, it still gives them the appearance of, that they have undue influence on that campaign. And I'm not saying that that's true. It's just the way that politicians will, infer from that sort of contribution history.
So as a lobbyist, what are the biggest challenges that you're seeing? I would have to imagine that, especially in the Democrat Party, there are actually a lot of politicians and legislators that are quietly fans of crypto that are afraid at this point to speak out. And we saw even before the anti-crypto army was raised, basically a year ago this time, or almost a year ago, we used to see a lot more of them speaking on it. Now it seems like after FTX and after that effort, they've kind of gone silent. Is it like for them, it's just politically very dangerous to speak out in favor of crypto at all if you're going against, the anti-crypto army, as I use it's Elizabeth Warren, or are they actually now afraid that because of FTX and the collapses, that it could be politically unpopular, or are they just kind of biding their time to see where this is going to shake out for the next election?
I think they're biding their time. I know that I've spoken with some of my congressional representatives in California. I had one recently with my own specific rep who I have the ability to vote for next election cycle in Pasadena. And she told me that she, didn't know much about cryptocurrency. She didn't want to necessarily opine on something she didn't fully understand, which really told me that there needs to be a lot more communication. And then she also deferred to folks like Maxine Waters, who have more of the authority and control within the Democratic Party over some of these bills. She has purview. And one of the things I've been doing, I found this to be a big challenge, but to me, it comes down to messaging. We see that the Republicans already really understand the sector through the cryptocurrency lens. And one of the things I've been doing is meeting with different Democrats and talking about, look, cryptocurrency is just one aspect of blockchain technology. Blockchain can be applied to a number of different sectors, and the Democrats are really missing an opportunity to weigh in on the promise of blockchain. When I met with my own representative, I told her, look, did you know that you could put, police reports on blockchain, tamper-proof? Did you know you could have government accountability on blockchain? Did you know you can improve the healthcare system by putting, records and patient information on blockchain? It's highly secure. It can't be tampered with. And she told me, no, I never knew that. I thought cryptocurrency was cryptocurrency. So one of the things I've been doing is trying to change that narrative with Democrats and talking specifically about how blockchain technology can help improve government and help improve the, the business opportunities within their own districts. And that seems to be getting a lot of traction and leeway.
You talked about a program to basically teach us all to be lobbyists. How does that work?
Yeah, so we have different lobbying 101 courses that we offer periodically. You can find information on that through our website at joindcta.org. We also have an advocacy portal we'll be launching that has it's going to be launching at the end of the month. The one we have up there right now is outdated, where we actually will have all the bills and pieces of legislation in every state in the country listed on a convenient map, so that way you can see what cryptocurrency legislation maybe, where that might be in your own state, and we'll help you provide tools to weigh in on that. We also sometimes announce them on our Twitter, at DCTA.org. But we also actually have a YouTube channel that we've been that you can find on our Twitter handle as well, and that we actually have recorded courses there. So we started with the simple ones like how does a bill become law, how to really communicate with legislators, and over time we'll be adding more sophisticated courses. But honestly, we also really work with folks. We have different state affiliates, and we work really closely with our affiliates and train them how to contact lawmakers for those who want to be more involved. We help them draft legislation. One of the ones we're drafting right now is a right to access crypto. A bill we're doing, it's going to be launched in Montana. Hopefully, we have a few users there who've said that they've tried to buy cryptocurrency, and they've actually had their bank shut down after they've after they bought it through their bank account, which is just ridiculous. So we are trying to be very open and friendly. We, as someone in California, I know how California is viewed and much of the rest of the nation. We don't want to be people telling you how to do something. We want to teach you and give you the tools that we've learned over the last 10 years of being lobbyists, and help you, get your own start on becoming, enacting the laws and policies that you think work for your state.
And you mentioned before, obviously, we have gridlock in Congress. It's somewhat broken, but there were a number of bills passed through committee. Patrick McHenry, of course, supporting and kind of pushing them through. Is there any chance for any of those under this administration, or is it kind of now they were statements, we're going to watch and wait, and maybe if there's regime change or something, we start to see actual movement on those?
I'm normally a sunshine and rainbows type of person as well. But right now, I don't really have much hope of that. I know that the stablecoins bill passed after bipartisan support, and I know there was a number of issues with that as well. But then, you had bipartisan support, and the Biden administration came in and said, hey, we didn't like this. And the same with the FIT Act, which, we supported. So I don't really have too much hope, but we have been getting a lot of, positive impacts at the state level. And this year alone in California, we sponsored a bill that was going to enable crypto blockchain education, blockchain curriculum at community colleges. It actually got all the way to the last step before the governor's desk with unanimous bipartisan support. Unfortunately, there was no funding there because we're in a budget crisis right now. I know that, and we had another bill in California, AB 39, which created a licensing structure for crypto companies. And as much as they tried to make sure that it wasn't like a bit license in New York, a lot of people were very afraid. And this is one example of how everyday consumers can make their voice heard. We reached out to the author and made sure that it's, had special exemptions for NFT projects. We made sure that our crypto-friendly regulators had final say on what regulations could happen. And so we helped avert a potential disaster into, I think, a net positive for the industry. And, we hope to replicate those efforts across the country.
Well, Kevin, thank you so much for your efforts. Everybody, you can follow him in the description. I believe it's Kevin_Trommer, right? And then join DCTA.org. Is that correct? Where everybody should go for more information to figure out what they can do. I've checked it out. I've been actually long. I've been long delayed a conversation we were all supposed to have about me kind of helping you guys because I have ADHD and frankly things just get lost. But that's something that now after this conversation, I'm definitely going to follow up on and help you guys wherever it is possible. I do think it's important for people to realize that even if it's not the national level, at the state level, local level, there are huge things that we can all do to help push this agenda forward and to make sure that we're all safe in the future. So, man, thank you for everything that you do. I know it's probably a pretty thankless job, but we're glad you're out there fighting for us.
Thanks so much, Scott. It was a pleasure being here with you. Look forward to potentially working with you in the future as well.
Yeah, we'll do it again soon, man. Thank you. Yeah. As I said, starting to get a bit more concerned with this uptick in rhetoric, but I think a simple voting of them out will probably do the trick, to be quite frank. And that's where our resources should probably be spent. Now that we've talked about the biggest threat to crypto and how we can stop it, Elizabeth and Gary, let's ignore all of that, all the stories, all the news, all the fundamentals, and have some fun looking at some charts because we've been in a bull market here, people, if you haven't noticed. And if you haven't noticed, now's probably a good time to pay attention. I've got my friend and mentor, Christopher Inks of Texas West Capital here. Man, market's still going, huh?
Man, I'll tell you what, it's saying, hey, guys, riding off saying, toodaloo, mother. Well, anyway, as it continues to ride up there, right? But hey, Scott, you're like me, man. You've been through this multiple times now, these cycles, and this is generally what happens. And I tried to be very vocal about it before we got to the lows, the bear market lows, though, about how, Bitcoin especially and alts tend to go once you're in that bull market, right? They don't give you a whole lot of opportunity to pull back, and people wait for it. And like I said, often it's like toodaloo, and it kind of takes off and continues. And so it's hard to complain. I mean, last week, man, again, another great week of trade setups we had last week. EGLD, EGLD was the big one. It's up like 70% since last week's show. But even that crazy one we mixed that, we talked about the DJ thing, right? Man, that thing's even up there. And so it's been great. I've got a couple more that we can look at today, and hopefully people will pay attention and do some work on their end to get some trades in.
My persisting joke of the last cycle was making fun of 1 inch. I think for obvious reasons, just because why would you call something 1 inch? You can tell that crypto's a bunch of dudes that they would call something 1 inch, but and that there's no girls interested. But I think WeMix is the joke of the next cycle.
WeMix is a good one.
Just because of Princess Bride. Marriage is what brings us together today for the WeMix. Yeah, it's too good. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, man. I mean, so Bitcoin just doing Bitcoin things, and it's just kind of continually making these higher highs and potentially higher lows here, pretty much within this channel. You can see, I don't know, we can maybe zoom in a bit here. We can see that channel EQ there is kind of really holding as resistance. So, if we can pop that, we should be looking toward the top of the channel. But, ultimately from a pivot standpoint here, this is a very bullish movement as you come in between the pivot and the R1, continue to push up. And so everybody's looking for this pullback here, which is, it's not unreasonable. It's usually what we look for, right? But we have had this sideways now for going on a few weeks here. And I think it's quite possible, basically we get this breakup higher toward the R1 pivot, pull back down into this consolidation before rallying back up higher. And everybody sitting down here waiting are going to be left waiting. And part of that reason is the fact that, that we went sideways here for almost 7 months. So, we've got our first initial push out here, and it's just continuing to consolidate upwards. And usually when Bitcoin does it, if we look at previous cycles, Bitcoin's pretty notorious for this. When it does this, it's usually just this consolidation before the next pop up higher. So, I can't guarantee what's going to happen, obviously, but as long as we continue to hold these lows, for me, it's still higher here.
I've repeatedly seen on Twitter, X, or whatever the hell we call it these days, people calling this a bear flag. Every single cycle, they say it's a bear flag, and you say if it's got higher highs and higher lows, bruh, it's an ascending channel, right? A bear flag, guys, has to be descending. It has to, or it is not a bear flag. Just for clarity there.
Yeah, I mean, we're in the trend, right? And we're in the trend, and we're continuing to rise higher in the trend. I mean, this is the difference, between actual experience in markets and what most of social media is full of, right? And I know some people are going to take that personally, and I don't mean it that way, but dang it, guys, at the end of the day, you're coming in here, you don't really know what you're doing. You're trying to learn, and there's just so many half-truths and outright lies out there. Not because people purposely want to lie to you, but just because they don't know any better themselves. People have found it's, quite lucrative to get people out there and to join the exchanges and get the referrals on that rather than actually providing, real kind of information that they can use. So just got to be careful out there, guys. All right. That's why I do this every week here with Scott and, do my own live stream and all that kind of stuff to kind of show you that there's a lot more education out there than what you're getting. But yeah, I mean, Bitcoin, look at the Stochh RSI down here as well. I mean, we've reset into oversold, cross bullishly, threatening to break out on the daily there. So yeah.
Yeah. And you would think that the Stochh would be topped right now, not bottoming after all this movement up. But it's amazing how indicators, we always say, well, the indicator needs to cool off, price needs to drop. Sometimes it just needs to chill for a minute, right? And the indicator will reset even without the big drop that you think you're going to get. And that's how people continually get left behind in these markets. I mean, as you said, Bitcoin just doesn't play by the rules. You don't usually get that perfect dip that everyone's waiting for when you're in a bull market, because
especially when you're waiting for it.
Yeah, absolutely. So what else do we got? I think Bitcoin's kind of boring. We feel compelled to talk about it because it's the big daddy, but the real action, and has been in the altcoin market. Every time I say altcoin, a Bitcoin maxi dies in the metaverse, guys. It's true. It's a fact. The maxis have been
it is what it is, right?
I'm getting a full maxi colonoscopy lately every time I post a chart. It's so fun. Now that I've unblocked literally everyone I had blocked on Twitter just for fun, like to be able to respond to the trolls has been just so entertaining. Go ahead.
Right. Yeah. So Ethereum, Bitcoin here again, the one everybody wants to watch. Everybody hating Ethereum. Generally in social media, they kind of take, when you don't have a lot of experience, you take these quotes like "buy when there's blood in the streets" and sentiment analysis and whatever, and you don't really understand what that means. But what you're seeing lately with Ethereum and how everybody's kind of given up on it, and they're like, "Oh my God, it's never going to go up." And it's, of course, it went up from June of last year, whereas Bitcoin had that secondary drop, in November. So Ethereum, was going up before Bitcoin was, but everybody's all, downtrodden about it. But man, it's bouncing right here. This pair right here where we were looking for, we had a good candle last week. We're just now breaking out of oversold here and trying to on Stochh RSI. So I think we're good to go rallying up here. That gives us that minimum expected target of 0.12888 up here for that wave 3. And as we know, if Ethereum's running against Bitcoin, then generally alts are doing well, right? And we're seeing that. We got a heck of a green week so far with alts, as I posted there on Twitter or X or whatever it's called these days. So
Twix.
I like the move there.
Twix. Can we call it Twix?
Twix. There we go.
Oh, I'm going to call it Twix. Twix. I feel like that
real
name's
quick
taken.
before we jump into these charts, this is MicroStrategy. This is the one I was on your show here, a few weeks back, and we talked about it being down here. We've just about hit that target. So, we're looking at their, what is that? Almost almost 50 somewhat % rally there over the last few weeks on that. So that one's been a good one. Those of you guys that missed it, I'm sorry. Pay attention more, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, here we go.
That's absolute blast off. Oh, look at all these charts. Let's go.
Yeah. So we've got AAVE here. I think this used to be Lend, didn't it?
I wouldn't even know, man. I forgot about Lend. What is it?
I think it used to be Lend. I think so.
I can't even see that. I can't see
but
the
basically, I'm looking for.
I know Aave. Maybe it was, but I mean Aave.
Period right here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So we've got this this sideways here from June of last year. Again, bottom area we're looking at. We're just now breaking out here, or starting to. We haven't even really started taking that real move up. Locally, we've got this 1, 2, 3 up here at around 136.40. I think it's possible we could get a pullback down here toward this daily pivot, which is just the top of the range at around $78 or so. Just look for a breakdown below this ascending support here. But then we should be rallying up higher. Again, wave circle 3, 130. A lot of upside here just to get going.
Yeah, Aave looks great. All of these look great. What do you got next?
We've got Ape. Again, I want to talk about Ape. I kind of talked about it a little bit, I think, last week. It's continued up.
And
here.
then did you hear they had... sorry, we were having a connection there. Did you hear they had this Ape Fest? So you have to buy anything that's having a conference, by the way, or festival. But then everybody, they used UV lights instead of like normal lighting. And it burned people's eyeballs, including Burb, and like people are basically like partially blind now from going to this. Okay, but the coin can go up. Crazy. Yeah. Absolutely crazy.
But Ape's been that one, they did the full retrace basically off the huge rally. The NFT thing came back. And I've been looking at last kind of month or two with you, looking for that reversal. And I think we're here. So we've got probably a little bit rally higher up here to about $1.60. We should pull back down here toward about $1.26. That's that daily pivot, and a reversal off that will get us this rally up here at least to $2.71-72 for that third wave. So, but again, should be the beginning of the rally. This should be the start of the bottom here, and just kind of continuing up higher there. And then people go, oh well, what utility does it have, or NFTs are dead or whatever. People have all these things because in their mind, they think something has to do something. And, at the end of the day, guys, price is going to do whatever price is going to do. So if you can get off your fundamental narrative and your biases of what you think or don't think about something and just look at the charts, learn to just read the charts, it's going to give you a lot more clarity. And so at this point here, again, I think we're bottom here. I think, we come down, we head up.
Yeah, all these charts look so good. It's crazy.
Adam, we got Adam here.
I love Adam.
Man, it's great. Look, we got this bit of accumulation here. We got this local accumulation here from September coming up here. We had a little spring, and we just kind of rallied up. We did great. We got to jump across the creek, back up the edge of the creek, rallying up higher. Again, I think we've got a little bit higher up here to probably about $9.20. We'll look for a pullback down toward this daily pivot, so probably like $7.50, $7.60. And we should be able to get a reversal off that. And if we do, we should get a minimum expected wave 3 target up there around $14.33 for that third leg up. And as you can see, that starts getting us up here toward this previous resistance from September of last year. Ultimately, this is just one big kind of range right here, right? Something like that. And so, we're kind of just right around that EQ area right there. I mean, you can probably pull it up here if you wanted to. It doesn't really make a whole lot of difference. But, overall, we're working up into this range. So we'll get 5 waves up toward the top of this range. We'll pull back. And then that big third. So you get, you'll get a 1, you get a 2. That big third is going to be the breakout here. And hopefully a lot of people will be in that. But, we got a bit to go. But good money to be made.
Let me show you a different view on that. Let me show you a different view on that because I was just sharing it the other day, which is this.
Oh, yeah.
Line and break out and retest. So hard not to like that. Yeah. So,
you got large candle spread and volume on that breakout.
Yeah, ton of volume, nice big candle spread on the breakout. And now just kind of struggling at the 200. So I'm not the biggest MA guy of late. There just seem to always be on my charts because it's my default, but that does seem to be stopping it. And no bearish divergence here on that move up, which we have seen some on others. Yeah, I'll bring yours back, but that's just a different view.
A lot of traders right now, again, they get really concerned about things getting overbought. Remember, guys, if it's overbought or oversold, it doesn't mean that it necessarily is going to reverse right there. Overbought just means that the trend is extremely bullish. Oversold just means it's extremely bearish. And that's where you get caught up in that, things can stay irrational longer than you can stay liquid. But just understand that when you do get overbought or oversold, yes, it's going to reverse at some point, but especially when you're getting into this bull market with crypto, it can tend to stay overbought or oversold. Well, overbought for quite a while because we're, in the bull market. So don't just sell immediately because it gets to overbought. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let me see here. Oh, Theta was another one here.
Oh man, we bring it back. You always bring back the classics.
Man, I got to bring them back, right? We made so much money on Theta last time. And again, we've got this bit of accumulation right here, which is again, just, from what is this? August here, coming up here. Again, you get the spring down here, this little dip here, boom, takes off, rallies up. I think we've probably got to break out a bit higher here toward about 91.5 cents. And then I would look for a pullback either to, if we can get that rejection, and that'll be right here around this large descending channel resistance. I would look for a pullback at least to about $71.7 cents, or even about 67.7 cents. But the idea is we get a 1, we get a 2, and the third is the big one. So you should see the volume of the large candle spread coming out through the rally back up through here. And that'll give us a minimum expected wave 3 up there at about $1.48. So again, another great, it's 170, 180% off the low down here to get that up there. So another great setup. And it should, again, should just be the beginning. Bigger chart here, as you can see, low volume node right here. We'll get that wave 5. We'll pull back probably in this higher volume node. So we'll go 1, 2, and then probably a larger 3 coming out of there. And so I think it's a great, again, so many great opportunities to be in right now. And so many people look at where this came down at right here. Look at this.
They're running so hard.
Yeah.
Link is the craziest. It literally ranged from May of 2022. I mean, look, it's so crazy to me that this link chart, and it gave the perfect retest there at the range high, like literally to the penny. The one that hasn't given any retest is Injective. My God.
Oh yeah, Injective just keeps on moving.
I'm sorry. Like we can turn into a bear market, but these things do not happen. You do not see charts like this in a bear market. You just don't.
Yeah, the link.
Look at Matic. Look at that retest. Oh, God. So perfect. Breakout, increased volume through descending resistance. Retest both at the same point. 59 cents. Now you're at 77. It's just crazy.
And people are arguing and people are complaining. It's a bear market. It's a bear market bounce. And I'm gonna, guys, listen.
Okay.
It's not okay. I'm gonna be. It's not. I can't. I say that, and I always have to say, listen, I can't guarantee anything, right? No, none of us can guarantee anything when it comes to the markets. But at this point here, this is 28 years of experience talking. This is, having multiple decades of different, ways of trading. And there's absolutely nothing in there that says this is more likely a bear market than not. Everything is screaming bear market right now. So, you trade it as it is until it proves you otherwise at this point. If you're not, you're just, God, man, so many people have lost out on so much opportunity over the last year because, some certain big accounts have told them, listen, it's a bear market. You're going to lose your money if you get in. Wait for the bear, Guys, if you're a trader and you haven't traded in 2 years, you're not a trader. If you haven't traded because you it's not doing whatever you thought it was going to do, like what you're waiting for it to do to continue. And I can't say this enough. If anybody's here, I take it seriously if they're listening to me. And I don't want them out there just sitting around missing because, yeah, sure, you can get in up here. Okay, fine, whatever. But you are exponentially going to have a greater bit of return if you can learn to spot bottoms. Instead of getting 3x, you can get 20x or something. And I don't know, man. It's frustrating for me. It's difficult because I see people that are following that, unfortunately, and they end up losing out, and it's tough, because guess what, guys? Bear market low. This is your only chance at the bear market low until the next one.
Yeah. And to be clear, there still is plenty of opportunity here, right?
Oh yeah,
we're not saying you have to buy the bottom and sell the top. We're just saying that it's been giving this signal now for quite a while.
Yeah. My only point being that if you learn how to, forecast price action, if you understand really how and why markets move the way they do, you've got the opportunity to get in at these lows that I continue to talk about, and that exponentially increases that return. There's nothing wrong, guys. Listen, honestly, there's nothing wrong with getting in up here. It's just you have to be realistic and go, okay, well, if I'm getting up, there compared to getting in down here, well, my return isn't going to be as great. You're exponentially going to return the closer you can get to that bear market low, right? So, yeah, I mean, you just got to be careful out there. I really don't have anything. Actually, these are from last week. So we got a WeMix here. Again, we're going to look at WeMix to 1.879.
Every week we're looking at WeMix. We're looking at WeMix as it's now. We're going to call the stream WeMix Part 7, WeMix Part 8.
There you go. I think we're probably, we were looking at this initial target and then up here around the pivot. We've just about got there. I think we're probably just about done on that. Let me see here. If we look at this right here, you go, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 potentially. We could get that bit further. We can still push up a bit further, but ultimately going to look for that pullback down here into this sideways here, so that what is that, $1, about $1 to $1.20. That'll be that pullback, and from there, that's the one you're going to want to be in. That's the big, off this low here. That's a 1. That'll be a 2, and then that's going to be that 3. That big move to really kind of get you in on that. So again, I have no clue what WeMix is or what it does. I don't have to. All I have to know is this is what the chart says.
I heard that it actually
cured.
Yeah, I heard it cures cancer and has solved world peace, actually, on the blockchain.
Do what now?
It's cured cancer and is solving world peace on the blockchain. That's what I've heard. WeMix.
Really?
Okay. Yeah, very compelling and important use case. So probably should fundamentally be investor. No, I have no idea what it is either. Anyway.
Other than that, I mean, again, we talked about ETC last week, Ethereum Classic. We talked about the big volume down here at the lows, the nice wick, looking for a breakout here. We got it. We're getting a retest right now. Overall, we just want to see this thing. We'd like to see this hold here as support. If we can do that breakout higher, then I think, again, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then that's, A, B, C here, or W, X, Y. And I think, we just continue to kind of fly up there from here. Big picture wise, that's going to give us a target. Yeah, right up there at right around $108.54. So, I mean, if you were to say get in here, I mean, that's a rally of, almost 500% just to get up on 1, 2, 3. And you have a 4, you have a 5, and of course you have then this larger 1, 2 heading up there. So,
or 1, 2. Look at one more chart. Is there one more chart I can request?
5. But nonetheless, we should be looking at a new all-time high.
Can I make a request? I want to see what your thoughts are on DOT, because I like it. DOT.
On which one? DOT?
Yeah, I don't know. I think we're having problems hearing each other. But yeah, DOT. I have mine, which is, I think it looks like it's breaking out of this descending channel here.
Oops.
So I'm thinking 570 easy. But yeah, I want to see what you think of DOT.
Pull it up here real quick. It's one of the ones we cover every day there in TWC. If we can load it. There we go. All right. So I've got this thing as a large 1, 2 here. We had a nice rally up here for 1, coming down for 2, flat correction here, large move down, heading up. I've got a target of $6.18 right now for this current wave 3, minimum expected. But, again, you've got this descending resistance here that we've broken out through, volume picking up as we've gone through it. I think overall, it looks good off the lows here, right? I think overall we just kind of continue moving up there. We're above that daily pivot. I think we're good to go. See, as far as the weekly goes, where are we in terms of the pivot here on the weekly? Oh, that's way up here. See, so we still got, so especially once we get through above this $13.17 area, that should really kind of, that gets us up here at this previous, more macro support area. Getting above that should really get us up here to the all-time high and higher on that. But yeah.
I like it.
I'm liking it.
Yeah, looks good. Okay, good. Okay, glad we have confluence of opinions. Although you'd be pretty hard pressed right now to find a crypto chart that looks terrible.
Oh yeah, yeah. Again, it's what we talked about coming into it. When alts go, they're all going, right? We talk about Bitcoin, rising tide lifts all ships. So not every crypto is going to do it. There are some really crappy ones out there, but at the end of the day, if Bitcoin's bullish and it's moving well, we generally expect alts to rise with it. And that's our big barometer that we have here. So again, if you're kind of putting yourself behind the 8 ball and thinking that it's still a bear market, the opportunity, EGLD, man, last week 70% up already. So I mean, that's just one.
Wild. I loved it.
So,
will forever probably be, maybe outside of Doge trading, will be my forever favorite altcoin that I've done the best on over time. And so I was having this one too. It's really, really good feel. All right, guys, everybody follow TX West Capital. Of course, you check out his group. Now, wait, it's not on Discord anymore. It's at Market. Give me the
members.texaswestcapital.com. Yeah.
Members.texaswestcapital.com. You can get a hell of a lot more than this, than the 25 minutes that we share every Wednesday. So guys, go check that out. Chris, thank you, man. See you
Appreciate
next week.
It, man.
All right, guys, that's all I got for you today. Got to head over to X Spaces. Funny, you guys. I got distracted because my wife sent me like a hilarious tweet that somebody had sent to her, which just blows my mind what women deal with in this world. I'm going to pull it up over here. This is hilarious. But she said that it means it's a good sign that what did her say? She said, good sign we're on the cusp of a bull market. Offers keep going up. Hello, pretty. Would you love to have a loyal and caring sugar daddy? You get 6,000 euros weekly with no any kind of sexual content included. Dudes are pathetic. Guess 6,000 euros is 6,000 euros, but I'm hoping she's decided to pass on that one. But man, you guys should see the DMs of a woman if you haven't. It's an incredible place to be. I will see you guys soon. Tomorrow, got Alex Kruger tomorrow, Kruger Macro, so that's going to be amazing. And of course, chart guys, Dan, check in for that one. See you then. Bye.